Take 2 with BB. So I want to make it clear I'm not a teacher. I'm not a tutor. I still haven't crossed that path yet into finding the school districts in my area that offer classroom aid certificate workshops or paraeducator testing, or take the workshop to become a paraeducator and take your paraeducator test. You can do that through school districts. You don't have to do it through college. That much I know. I just haven't made that leap yet. Another problem is that I don't have a laptop. And that's why this video is very straightforward, and I don't have a laptop to do any video editing. I wish I did. So, even though I'm not a teacher, I'm not a tutor, I want to make this video about, like, if I was a teacher, if I had a hypothetical student, this is what I would do for, like, a 5th grade, 6th grade approach for homeschool. Not for public school, obviously, but for homeschool. So, for math, I would do Saxon. This is the teacher's manual. There is actually a volume 2 somewhere out there, but it's really expensive every time I look at it on eBay. So I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe one day I'll buy it, but I'm not loaded. I'm not rich. I don't have a teaching certificate. I don't feel like I need to buy the volume 2, but maybe I do later on down the road. I don't really care for PDFs. I like things that are on paper. I like books. I like physical items. I like teacher books. I like classroom books. I like homeschool books. That's my thing. So that's the volume 1 of the teacher's book. Then you have the workbook, which is more of a drill book. You don't do it every day. You just do it once with every lesson. See, it's all drill pages. Not even traditional worksheets. They're just drill pages. So you're practicing mastering the skill over and over and over and over again until you master it. Then you have the textbook. It's the classroom edition. Notice. Now, I didn't do Saxon when I was a kid, but I knew the books existed. My school district used what was called Addison Wesley. It was by Pearson. They used some McGraw-Hill books, but Addison Wesley was where it was at for their math. It was Addison Wesley, Scott Forsman. You got some reading comprehension. You got a lot of word problems. And you got a lot of charts and graphs. You got a lot of visuals. There's some shapes, polygons. There's some triangles. There's a grid. Lots of math problems. Good amount of math problems. Fraction of a set. I bought the textbook, and I think the manual at a Goodwill in Oregon, like 7 or 8 years ago. And then I bought the workbook on Amazon or eBay, and it came from Thrift Books. So, that hypothetical student would be doing that for math. And then, for logic and creativity, you have a classic Frank Schaeffer edition of Logic Across the Curriculum. And it says middle and upper grades. And trust me, I've flipped through this book, and some of it's really freaking challenging. It's a lot of charts and graphs, and I call this a reproducible, meaning you photocopy like 2 or 3 pages to do with students in terms of after-school tutoring and homework helping. Lots of reading comprehension. Lots of solving riddles, understanding graphs and charts, filling in the blanks. Not exactly traditional worksheets, but it's still a very unique style. And it's very 80s, 90s, 2000s. I liked these books when I was a kid. I liked these kinds of sheets, these pages. When I was a kid, I loved these types of pages in my homework packets. They were fun. I liked them. They made me think. That's what they are, they're logic. And then I just got this via eBay recently. I ordered it in February and it came in April. I think our mail system is kind of screwed up. The Unconventional Invention Book, Classroom Activities for Activating Student Inventiveness. And somebody wrote on it, gifted, 8586. And it's for grades 3 through 12. And I think that's probably the teacher's name, Grottles. And you want to know something? 1981. So it's good Apple books, and I found a bunch of their other books on eBay. I favorited them. I might buy them later on this summer. Some more books from this brand, because it's pretty damn unique. You got a lot of comprehension in here, lots of reading comprehension. They got bibliography. They cite their sources in ALA format. You don't see that in books anymore. Making the unconventional conventional activity number 1. There's a lot of drawing in this book. I remember I looked at this page the other day. That was pretty cool. Take a look at this vehicle and describe its advantages for dogs and dog owners. For dogs. For dog owners. Give the invention a name. Now it's your turn. Put this elephant on a vehicle. I don't know how, but I in my mind, I answered this one, but I don't remember my answer anymore. There are many different kinds of robots that do different kinds of things. Think of some things you could program this robot to do. Write them here. In the 80s, this was a big idea. You see what I mean? It's creative. So, that's creativity. Then, we're going to go for writing skills. We have Explode the Code, Book 8. That's vocabulary, and it's open to interpretation how you want to decide where does Explode the Code fall in grade levels. But Book 1 is very much your kindergarten, and Book 8 can be anywhere from like 4th grade to early 6th grade. Because Book 8 teaches grammar, sentence structure, some paragraph writing, and a lot of vocabulary. I'm not sure modern times where public school teachers would use these types of words, but you got ratify, solidify, modernize, memorize, qualify, motorize, finalize. See, they all have that IZE. You have sentences, you gotta choose the words, you gotta choose the phrases, choose the statements. Attentive, expensive, productive, detective, defensive, talkative, captive. I mean, yeah, it could be 4th grade, it could be 5th grade, it could be 6th grade, but because I have it in my collection, I'm gonna call this 5th grade. It could even be 6th grade by today's standards, as long as they're not behind the curve, and they're not, say, working at a 2nd grade vocabulary level. I mean, here's some more words. Stupid, stupidity, final, finalist, personal, personality, touring, tourist, major, majority, violin, violinist, solo, soloist. And you're changing the words around to add prefixes and suffixes. There's a lot of different types of word activities in here, and it's very open and go. The great thing about Explode the Code books is not that they're just open and go. You can start a new lesson and not have to do the previous lesson. It would be better if you start from the beginning and go all the way forward, but it's also great as just an open and go. Pick a page. At least start with the first page of that lesson. And here's the first lesson. Now, the first lesson is thankfulness, bottomless, wilderness, regardless, foolishness, helpfulness, kindness. I mean, that's a great place to start with suffixes and verbs. It really is. Then you have your notebook dictionary. I mean, you can use any kind of student dictionary or elementary dictionary, middle school dictionary, a standard Webster's dictionary. It doesn't have to be very special. But I've had this for like a year on my shelf. And I think it's nice enough for, say, middle school. It really is a true dictionary. It's, I'd say, a good introduction to using a dictionary. And then if you have a bigger dictionary as well, this could just be your kind of basic one. And then you use a standard hard copy dictionary that's like 700, 800 pages. But this one is how your child learns how to use a dictionary. And your third book, it's not a curriculum, mind you. It's not like Blossom and Root Language Arts. It's not learning through literature or the 5 senses of literature, Wildwood, Torchlight, Hewitt Lightning literature. It's not a solid curriculum. It's not Shirley English. But if you don't have a big curriculum, a package deal curriculum, I think you choose one of these types of books. You choose a dictionary helper. You choose a vocabulary book, and that's kind of the beginning. And you can work all these skills into a daily writing prompt, and then a daily story prompt, and then combine your daily writing prompts on Friday or on your 4th or 5th day of the week, and create a new writing prompt that combines all of your skills that you've been working on throughout the week. And then you say you do some of these skills throughout the week, and then on Friday you say you have to include irony, alliteration, and an idiom. You also have to include 5 different words with their different suffixes and prefixes from this week's vocabulary. So if you have 5 words in your weekly vocab list, and then you got to look at the different versions of them. Say if it ends with an ing or an ingly, if it ends with an s or an es or an s apostrophe, nothing after that, because it already ends with an s, so you add an apostrophe to make it a plural of itself. You gotta mix things up when you're homeschooling your kids, when you're teaching your kids. I like teaching. I'm not a teacher, but yes, I'm giving advice. So be it. I like this book. It's hard and challenging, and I've kind of gone through the pages and tried to do some of the work, tracing my fingers on the pages, not actually using a pencil on them. I think I did pencil on 1 page in this whole book. And I was like, this book is hard. It's graded for grades 5 through 8. It's from Learning Works, and I think that's technically a Carson DeLosa or Shell, but it has flashbacks, idioms, foreshadowing, hyperbole, alliteration, irony, dialect, conflict. A lot of this I didn't learn until high school. So there's that. And I think it's missing connotation, but you know what I mean. Stanza. See, the pages are very basic. They're black and white. Rhyme. Repetition and refrain. Form. Alliteration. Symbol. And when you do every topic, you take a break from the book and you put that topic, you put those writing skills into the writing prompt of the day, into the social studies writing skills, into the notebooking, into the history writing skills, into your essays, into your poetry, into your data collection for science or math. So you're practicing and reusing the same words and the same writing concepts in other subject areas. That is a great way to have that repetition. oxymoron, and paradox. Don't forget contradiction. So, then we have science. Science, I don't have a lot of science books, but ultimately your body and my first human body book. I'd say 5th grade, 6th grade is a good time to introduce, a lighter flair of human biology and how the human body works. And if you don't, that's okay. But it's still a good place to begin a concrete topic of a body that they already have, that a person already has, not just the student, but a person has a body. Now this is a Dover book. And then the 3D glasses are in another book. But it has, there's big pictures, captions, short paragraphs. Of course, you got to supplement with other materials and do like butcher paper and drawing the shape of your child's human body. And then do an entire long sheet of paper, 5 feet long, of your kid's body, or however tall they are. And you do like 5 tracings of their body on 5 long sheets of paper, right? And one sheet is for the skeletal system, and one sheet is for the internal organs, and another sheet is for the reproductive system, and another sheet is for cardiovascular. That means the blood system and the veins and the arteries. And then another long sheet that you trace your child's body on would be could be the epidermis, the skin, or it could be the muscular system or the musculoskeletal system. I mean, it's ultimately your choice. So, there's all that. And that's a good place to start. And then the final thing for reading, I don't have a lot of books in my collection on this topic, but what I do have is short stories. Of all the chapter books and kids books and juvenile picture books that I have on my shelves, the best thing I have is short stories. There's Letta the Goat and other short stories. Aesop's Fables, short stories. Get yourself not really a McGuffey, but you could get, older, early 1900s reader books from one-room schoolhouses that you see on eBay. They're full of short stories. And then, maybe these would be too easy for a 5th grader or a 6th grader, but this is just a mild example because they do have chapters in them. They have chapters, say chapter 3. They have images, they have short stories, they have full pages of walls of text. They have some imagery. They're fine. They're bland. They might take less than 30 minutes to read through, but they're just solid examples of short stories. Finding that Titanic is kind of a fictional one, but it has non-fiction in it too. It's a weird version. But basically, the literature approach for this hypothetical student would be short stories. And definitely older short stories. Like I said, Aesop's Fables is always a good place to start, because today's kids know absolutely nothing about Aesop's Fables. I remember 1st grade and 2nd grade, we did Aesop's Fables. That was in the 90s. I know, different time, different generation. But that doesn't mean that you have to do just, Diary of a Wimpy Kid every grade level just because you want to, because you think, oh, the kids can relate to that. Sure. Of course they can. Doesn't mean that that's the only book you have to choose from. With like 20 books in the series of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, you could keep on going and going and going. But you know what? I don't like those books because I feel like they really limit what a child is going to be interested in reading. And some kids are not going to read anything beyond Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Nate the Great, Dork Diaries. You know, all those Comic Sans serif font illustrated doodly chapter books. Sometimes it's okay to have real full pages of text. It's okay to have hand-drawn classic images. I mean, look at that duck. It's a duck. It's not doodly. It's not in the margins. And it's not distracting away from the text. Whereas in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, all the doodles distract away from the text. And whether or not Jeff Kinney intended to do that, I think that's something that is a negative takeaway from, you know, those types of books, where the doodles take away from the text because there's already text in the doodles. And then kids are like, oh, I don't need to read all the text here. I can just read the text bubbles in the doodles. Look at that. The fox and the stork. Does that take away from the wall of text? No. It provides an image. It provides a concept. It provides an idea. It provides a visual. The wolf in sheep's clothing. It provides a visual, but it's not distracting the child away from the reading. And that is why I'm talking about that. Short stories. Short stories are great for all ages, even adults. And you know what? I might start reading that Aesop's Fables book pretty soon, because it looks good to me. Anyways, that is the curriculum I would use, the idea, the plan for a hypothetical student for homeschooling. Short stories and different versions of writing skills to develop creativity, logic, out-of-the-box thinking, and a math curriculum that is not reading comprehension based, but rather focuses on the math skills from mastery to spiral. Okay, y'all, that's it. That is what I have, and includes science. And I think 5th grade is the right time to do, like I said, the Human Body Project from start to finish. And you teach consent, and you teach human health education, and you teach the reproductive sciences. Don't hold back on that. They're going to ask questions anyways. Do you want them to learn from Google? Do you want them to learn from a curriculum? Do you want them to learn from their friends who might not have all the right answers? Or do you want them to learn from a curriculum, a teaching style that follows a recipe? That's the way to do it. Okay, that's all I have for today. Bye-bye.